I'll let her tell the full story. Sandy was formerly with Park and Recreation. She was the ultimate guru with Park and Recreation. She's been there for 16 years, I believe. She was there for about 15 years. So Sandy is going to present to us technology and special events, things that we did at Park and Recreation. And yes, we had our first regional meeting in Charlotte, North Carolina. So thank you to Mark. We put that together, I believe. And here we go. Thank you, Sandy.
Like Glenn said, I am from Mecklenburg County. My background is not in technology. My background is in recreation and special education, so that works well with technology, particularly the special ed part. But when like she said, I came to Mecklenburg County about 15 years ago, and I ended up in a technology. It was my first real technology position. I was scared to death. I had a lot of book smarts and not much hands-on smarts, which, so I spent 15 years trying to learn how to do what we do. Then I got absorbed into the main IT part of Mecklenburg County. I'm now on the deployment team because Felina came in and pushed me out of the Park and Rec job into my job. So I had to find something else to do. And I hired her at Mecklenburg County, and that's the thanks I get. No, actually, we had a bid reorg. It's great. So Felina asked me just to talk about kind of some of the off-the-wall stuff that we've had to do at Park and Rec. And I think the technology itself will be familiar to you. It's just the kinds of things that I had found myself in, and involved in, in weird situations. Mecklenburg County has over 200 parks. I think there's probably, last count I heard, 260 parks. There may be some more. Some of them are out in the middle of nowhere. Some of them are right in the middle of town. They just opened a new park this week. How many of you are familiar at all with Charlotte? Have you ever been to an event at the Time Warner Arena downtown where the Hornets play and all that? They just opened a new park in that area. So being as spread out as they are, I mean, you guys know Mecklenburg County is kind of a big place. I think some of you call it the great state of Mecklenburg. There's a lot of different things to consider when you want to do something technical out in a park. That's where I cut my teeth. So, fortunately, I was able to turn kind of a hobby into a career, and some of that knowledge allowed me, or actually helped me, I think, in the park situation. So, I've got a couple pictures. Like I said, I don't have a whole lot of enlightening kind of information. I think it's just interesting. We have two big festivals that I'm going to draw out today. There's more than that, but two in particular that I had a big hand in as far as providing technology or technical services. One of them is called Bark in the Park, and that is a springtime event, and it's where all the dogs of Mecklenburg County bring their owners to this event, because it's party day for the animals. The first few years that we had it, I wasn't really involved in it a whole lot, not from a technical side anyway. But then they decided that they wanted to start selling T-shirts and actually take credit cards for these T-shirts. So, we need you to be on the committee for Bark in the Park. I'm like, okay, why? Because we need you to provide some technology. So, okay. So that was one. And then the other one is a Hummingbird Festival, which is in August every year to celebrate hummingbirds and to learn about hummingbirds. And that was probably one of the most creative events as far as the technical side of it, which I'll talk to you about. The rest of it's kind of generic sort of stuff. We've got a campground that, Wayne, do you know how many sites we have of that campground? How many campsites? I can't remember. I want to say there's about 100 or something. And then there's another island that's on Lake Wiley that doesn't necessarily have the same kind. It's more like primitive camping. So, but we are using some products and stuff to actually reserve campgrounds and stuff. So it's not the technical thing when you think of government IT. You know, it's kind of like fun government IT. A lot of people, I mean, in some areas of the country, their recreation departments for cities and counties are actually a commission. They're not even government entities. So that's kind of an interesting thing too. So one of the things that, or one of the challenges that I had to have probably the last few years I was there is that the director that we had actually came from an environment where there was a park and rec type commission, and they weren't necessarily governed by state or local government. So, you know, there's a whole different, you guys know, if you've ever been in the public sector and now you're working in the government sector, it's a little bit different. You know, so, that being said, I'll just show you a few pictures and kind of walk you through it. This is the Hummingbird Festival, or one picture of the Hummingbird Festival. We have a lady come, her name's Susan, I can never remember her last name. She's like the hummingbird expert. And she sets up this nice table, and they are catching hummingbirds around the back of the building, and they bring her the hummingbirds, and she puts these little teeny tiny little bands on the hummingbirds' legs while she's talking about the life of the hummingbird. You know, it's really cool. This is one of my favorite events. Well, the first year I became involved with it, they decided that how cool would it be to do a live stream of this hummingbird banding event. And I said, oh, that'd be real cool. However, you're in the middle of the woods, you got a 3 meg DSL line down and a 768 meg up. I'm not thinking it's going to happen. And they said, you can do it. You'll make it work. In addition to that, we would like for you to not only stream it to the internet, we would like for it, see that building over there? Y'all don't really look, I'm acting. Okay. That building over there, we want to have people that can see what they're standing here at the table, but if they're in that building over there, they want to be able to see it too. So you got to wirelessly send that picture in there. Now this was several years ago when that kind of technology was not as prevalent or as accessible as it is today. So, you know, I thought about it, I Googled a whole bunch of stuff, and so what I came up with, you can see it in this picture, it's kind of hard to see, but essentially, this little guy right here is a little wireless internet camera that somebody would use at home, you know, to watch their dog or whatever they would use it at home to do. And it was actually connected to the laptop that's sitting in the dirt down here. I think I ended up using like a Verizon hotspot, jetpack or something, hoping that it would pull the strength that I need. Now, in that building, there was a projector and another laptop that was connected to the internet with another one of those wireless devices because that nature center had no wireless capability and no way for me to plug anything in. And it was connected to a projector, and the banding went kind of like this. You know, but, you know, it was cool because we were using Ustream, it was free, you know, it was sort of working, kind of, you know, and it was good enough at the time. And I recorded it, and at some point we put a link to it, and that was the first year. Second year, we want to do that again. Only this time, we're going to we're going to move from this part here. You can hardly see it, there's a fence here. We had to kind of take part of the fence off. So they wanted to move it to this building out here, which is kind of like a picnic shelter. Guess what? It's further away from their nature center building where they want all this streaming to happen. Sandy, you can do it. Okay. We did the same kind of setup, except that what I had to do was actually make my own wireless network in there. I just put some access points up. It's not connected to the internet in any way, shape, or form. at that time, but just to get enough of something that I could get the little camera, the two computers talking. And then I added in the internet piece. Again, we had the kind of choppy. You know, the 4G connection out there in the middle of the woods, not real good. Not real good. So that was kind of the hummingbird challenge. And these are just some pictures you can see. You know, she's got a little hummingbird there that she'll catch if you can pay her $25 and it goes to her research, and then she'll let you hold the hummingbird and you can actually release it. Now, this.
That's a big hummingbird.
All right, so as this hummingbird thing got bigger and bigger and bigger, it starts to evolve. So they decided that, fortunately, they decided that we didn't need to stream it to the internet. You know, we just need, what we'd actually like to do is just to be able to have, you know, people that can stand here and watch this, but we want to put a screen behind her so that you can actually see what she's doing if you're way over here. And inside the building, we're going to have this nice exhibit called Prayers of the Hummingbird or something. Anyway, they're the things that will eat the hummingbirds, basically. So we had a giant praying mantis. So what we did, inside there, kids would go in and they would go through this and they might encounter a giant spider, a giant praying mantis, you know, all these different things that prey on the hummingbirds. At the end, when they walked out of this little tunnel, there was a giant black cat. They said, we want the cat to talk. Okay? How do you want to do this? Well, when the kids come out, we want them to be able to talk to the cat, and the cat can talk back to them. My first question is, what have you been smoking? My second one was, okay, let me think what we've got. So what we ended up doing, the same wireless cameras that we've used before, we put one kind of in the cat. We had a speaker in there. I had a staff person inside the building, hidden away with a wireless microphone that connected to that speaker, and a computer in front of them where they could see, you know, exactly what was going on in front of that cat. And it worked beautifully. Because kids aren't some are real observant, some are not. They didn't really notice the camera, it was small enough, you know, but they could move, however, and, you know, they're in there talking to it, they'd say something, and it worked great. So we did that for a couple of years. Meanwhile, back at the, backwards for a second. Back out here in that new building, what we did was we just put a big screen, and I just did this one back in this one has kind of stuck, but since we don't have to stream it anymore, we put a big screen behind this lady at, you know, where she's sitting at the table. What I do is I got the idea here. I use a product called Movie Mount. I think that's the actual product, but I got a picture of it, I'll show you in a little bit. The iPad goes in it. You can put an iPad in it, an iPhone, whatever. It's got different sizes. And it allows you to mount the iPad on a tripod. And you can even put a boom mic on it, or some of you are nodding your head because you've been here long enough that you know what I'm talking about. So I can run that thing up and have it looking down at the table where Susan is working. And with the Apple TV connected to the projector, it just projects up there. You know, so it's always kind of like a live stream, so to speak, but it unfortunately doesn't have to go through the internet. And the only thing I have to have out there is some sort of wireless cable that the Apple TV and the iPad can connect to, and that works great. So fortunately, as technology has advanced, it's made my job a lot easier. Okay, so the next one is the Bark in the Park. Like I said, Bark in the Park is a big festival where the dogs bring their owners, and we've had up to 10,000 people come to this thing. So it's big, and they look forward to it. It started years ago Mecklenburg County had 2 or 3 dog parks in a couple of our parks where, you know, you can go in off-leash areas for dogs, and at first they were selling memberships. So at first they wanted us to be able to, person come in and scan a card to open the gate and let them and their dog in the dog park. Again, connectivity is an issue. They said, but we have electricity. Great, not the same. And again, out in the middle where you're lucky if you're getting a 3G connection. So I forget exactly how they ended up doing it. They wanted it to actually use like we use a membership in some of our aquatics facilities. You know, they'd scan it, it would go back, make sure the thing is valid, come back and kick the gate open. When you don't have a very good connection, you could be standing there for 2, 3, 4 minutes before that ping is going to come back and open that gate. So they finally decided, you know, we ought not be charging admission for these anyway. Everything's free. So that problem was solved. We didn't have to do that. But anyway, the idea of the Bark in the Park was to raise money to maintain the dog parks and stuff. So this is one of our park rangers. And I put the park ranger in there because I'm going to kind of talk about them and their technology in a little bit. But you can see this guy's equipped. He's got a couple of phones and radios and all kind of stuff. And this MU is the incident management unit. It's got the fireman colors and everything on it. Now, if there's some sort of major something going on in the woods at the park, the MU is called out and they can come down there and rescue you. So it's actually pretty cool. I'm making light of it, but. All right, so these are just some pictures of the facility. Where this is in a place, it's closer to Huntersville than it is to Charlotte, but the name of the place is Rural Hill. What does that tell you? It's out in the middle of nowhere again. But fortunately, it's big open space. And you can get a good solid 4G connection out there. So that was good. So basically what we did, this was my little crew, this was the first year we took credit card payments. We use, at that time we were using, the recreation software we were using was Class. We are now on ActiveNet. Are you on ActiveNet? All right. But essentially what we did was I had a tablet, PC, a credit card receipt printer, and you can't see it, but there's a swipe as well. So basically, it was pretty easy. All we had to do was take it out there, and as long as we had a good solid, connection, we were good to go. I found that my phone connection on my iPhone was a much better hotspot out there for some reason than the jetpack that I used. And then I found another device that I'll show you in a minute. But so basically, we sold credit cards. We took in $5,000 worth of credit cards that day. So that was pretty cool. These are just, you can see how large the facility is. Kind of with these. Oh, that was our aerial photographer. And we got those things. Now one year they did fly a drone around and take some pretty cool pictures and stuff. So these are the tools of my trade. I mentioned the Apple TV was a good one. Hotspot, you've got that. This is the movie mount thing that I was talking about. This is a great product. The iPad takes some pretty good, photos and videos and stuff. And you add this, what it does, you can get different lenses for it too. That covers the little hole that's over, like your camera eye. And it can make it wide angle, it can make it telephoto, it can do all kinds of stuff with it. You can mount a boom mic on it, and you can also mount a light. A lot of realtors use this to go and do like 360s in a house. It's pretty cool because you can put it on there and you can go all the way around. I use it a lot, but it works perfectly for the Hummingbird Festival because with the tripod I can get it up there. One of the things with the Hummingbird, one of the challenges is you can't have a camera right there looking at her because it freaks the hummingbirds out. You know, we want to be nice to the little hummingbird.
And her holding it don't freak them out?
Do what?
I said, and her holding it don't freak it out?
No. Now this, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but this is a Verizon router. It's mostly used for home use, but we got hold of one, and it works a lot better than the jetpack. I don't know if it's because it's newer or whatever, but it's also got 4 ports in it. One of the challenges that Felina's going to get to deal with soon, and I'll probably help you. We have in 3 of our parks, I think, 3 or 4 of them, they have entrance booths. You know, you actually have to pay a fee to come in on the weekend, and so they're wanting to staff these entrance booths, and they want them to use ActiveNet because that's essentially our cash handling, credit card handling program. Problem is, they're out there and there's no connection again in the parks. So the thought was, you know, if I had that and a zero client, then we would be good to go. They had a wireless zero client. We took the wireless one out there in one of the parks. I had a good solid 4G connection, and this was up at Lake Norman at Jaton Park. I worked out there all day off of that thing with just the wireless zero client and a hotspot, not this one. The problem was in some of the other areas, connection was not as good, and we also found out that there was something with the software between the wireless zero client that we were using, these were Wise, you know, Dell, I think makes them now, was not allowing me to actually print a receipt. The idea was we want to get rid of cash registers, and we want this all going in here, so you needed to have a good solid connection. But there was something in the software, because the other piece is we're using VMware on these thin clients, or zero clients. So there was something in there that was not allowing that credit card receipt to print. But when we connected them to this guy, you know, like it was a regular Ethernet type connection, it worked fine. Go figure, it's really weird. So everything, there's a lot of trial and error with this. And then this is one of the zero clients that we're using. We're also using these Samsung monitors that have the zero client built into the monitor on the back. Those are really cool. I really like those. And that's it. You know, like I said, it's probably, the technology itself is not, you know, blowing you out of the water. What you have to do is be creative with what you have available. Niagara's shaking his head. I know he does this kind of stuff all the time. But the biggest ones have been, you know, the Hummingbird Festival and the Bark in the Park, as far as making that kind of stuff work. Where the challenge is coming now is Park and Recreation is building a lot of urban parks. They're building things downtown. People want Wi-Fi, and the planners don't always think that people want Wi-Fi, so you end up having to go back in and try to retrofit things, or try to get somebody to make a decision to just do it. What we're trying to get out of the business of is actually doing that and going and letting someone else that does this, you know, some other vendor actually put these things up and monitor them. So I think one of the things that that the county, Mecklenburg County, has done as far as public Wi-Fi is to just outsource it. You know, there is a guest network, but it's not a full-blown guest network, and they're just beginning to roll that out. But an example, we were talking about it earlier, we have a huge sportsplex down in the town of Matthews, and they are adding a whole nother championship field house, the whole 9 yards out there. And they said, we want to have events there, we want to do this, we want to have Wi-Fi, we want our whole fields lit up, Wi-Fi, and outdoor Wi-Fi can be a mess. And our guys in our network services team are like, we are not doing this. And the county manager is more or less saying, we are not in the business of providing, you know, public access. We will provide it for certain things. So what they've done is, I think they're contracting with somebody through Time Warner. Time Warner is our main provider. So they are, actually contracting through them, and it's like, pay us $500 a month and we'll install it, monitor it, the whole 9 yards. And I don't know exactly who that is, that's kind of in the works. But that's all I had, just kind of a little show and tell on some of the fun things that I used to get to do and that now Felina gets to do.
Yeah.
And with a couple other folks too, so. Questions? Yes?
Just a few days ago, we had an annual meeting with our Verizon rep, and he was telling us about their vision for smart cities, and they were showing us what they're coming out with for units that can be put in special locations to kind of draw the signals that are weak and rebroadcast to make them stronger again. I don't know if you're, kind of what I do like that
We do.
too, but they do have this new vision of their starting to do these
Yeah,
we just wasn't we got like 3 days ago.
Yeah, that's our telecom group usually stays pretty much on top of that stuff, and I have to admit that, all the solutions and that kind of stuff are not necessarily things that I had to dream up. I knew what the resources were and where to get them. The telecom team they're the ones that found me the Verizon router, and it was really hard to get, apparently, too. I think we only got one, and I don't even know if they're using them anywhere else, but that's good to know. I'll definitely pass that on. Anything else? Let's hear from the Zoom.